Coming to you from the studios at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66, it's the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best here ever around.
Hey everybody, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Hollywood Mike. How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing good. You look like you're stretching.
Well, I'm getting older, you know. I do it when I wake up. I do it before I go to bed, you know, and the whole bit. Yeah, I got to do that. Yeah.
Something wrong with your mic tonight?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. We're having technical difficulties. So if any audio engineers or video engineers are out there listening and they're looking for a pro bono gig,
Right.
you know, contact us here at the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Or if they want to sponsor the podcast, we're always looking for sponsors.
Always looking for sponsors. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you somebody else who stretched. We had somebody come all the way from Algonquin
Ooh.
today.
Whoa.
A little bit of a drive from
Yeah.
Algonquin to Joliet.
No kidding.
Yeah, we got Mike Hansen with us here
Hey,
today.
Mike.
Everybody. Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm from the Indian tribe, Algonquin.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Algonquin Indians. There we are. I
That's
took
right.
my horse all the way here.
That's right. Yeah. I'll tell you what, you know what I'm excited about? I don't think we've ever had a single individual drummer come in for a podcast interview.
Well, that's cool. I'm the first.
Yeah, it is. There's no guitar players. There's no egomaniacs. There's no singers. There's nobody. There's just the guy swinging
Well,
his sticks back there.
That's
We
it, man.
haven't.
Well,
We haven't, but Paulie and I had one.
oh, did you really?
Billy McCarthy.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, we had Billy a while ago.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, why don't you tell everybody about yourself so everybody knows who we're talking to?
Yeah, so I'm Mike Hansen, and I'm from the national act Hurricane, the band from the 80s with Robert Sarzo, Tony Cavazzo. And, you know, I grew up here as a kid, you know, in Chicago. And then when I left in 87, towards 87, I moved west. So then I was in Vegas for 4 years. And then I went to Los Angeles for 36 of those other years.
Wow.
And so now I've recited back to here right before COVID, about 5 months before COVID. I moved back here. My dad had cancer and my family still lives all here. You know, I'm the only one that moved out west out of any of my family and, you know, to pursue all my music. But anyways, my dad gave me the red light, you know, the light to say, hey man, I got a year to live. And so I packed it up. I came home not knowing 5 months later there was going to be a pandemic. So it was kind of it was a trip, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, I looked at the pandemic and look, it was a bad thing, of course, but that was kind of good for me because it slowed the world down for me. And it's like, I didn't have to keep up with like all the things that I needed to keep up with anymore. I was equal to everybody in the world now. Right. I'm like, oh wow, everybody's on the same page now. We're all sitting home.
That's exactly right. Yeah, absolutely.
So I spent that time, and my dad's a great guitar player. You know, he's played with people like Rascal Flatts and Barbara Mandrell. He was a guitar player, yeah. And we wrote a song together, you know, and recorded a couple different things together, and we got to, you know, kind of close the book right. So I haven't left. I've stayed here now. So right. I'm based in Chicago, Algonquin area, where the house that I grew up in. So I did a full circle life.
Right. Yeah.
So here I am. So yeah. But I mean, I play with a lot of people, you know, throughout my years. It's just and what got me out to the West Coast was the Pointer Sisters. So I played 4 years with them.
That was interesting. I looked at that list and it's like, no kidding, the Pointer Sisters.
Pointer Sisters, yeah.
I mean, you look at it's an eclectic group of people that you played with, and most of them were hard rock or heavy metal guys or something like that. And then you've got the Pointer
R&B,
Sisters, and then you got Paul Abdul, and I was like, wow,
yeah. I did. You know, I was a pop drummer, yeah.
Okay.
So you know, I grew up, you know, here, and I was in this funk band from Elgin, you know, and and my buddy. Jerome Cunningham, a bass player. You know, I was a total white dude player, man.
Right.
You know, I was a country 50s rock player with my dad when he was here in town. So as a kid, I was playing clubs from 11 years old. You know, for my dad's band, I started at 5. So you know, I was weaned into the business, you know, my whole life, and so all of a sudden I answered this ad one time. You know, I think I was 16, 17 years old, and they were looking for a funk drummer, and I'm thinking, you know, maybe I'll give this a shot. So I called Jerome Cunningham up. So I went down to Elgin, and, you know, they were kind of like, hey, you're a white dude, man. You know, and I said, well, you're all brothers, man. And they go, hey, well, while you're here, why don't you just sit down and let's see what we got, right?
Yeah, right.
So they took me in, man, and they taught me how to, Jerome kind of taught me how to, Oh Sheila was the first song I ever played. And, I kind of learned, and had to learn all that.
Ready for the world,
Dude,
Oh
right?
Sheila.
Yes.
Wow.
So what happened was, and I played with him, we'll speed it up a little. And then I went out with a band from Chicago to Vegas for 2 weeks, and I met all these agents and managers and things like that. And I came back to a gig that I had, and the drummer that I had hired to take my place for a sub, he took my gig.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
wow.
I was like, he goes, hey man, not the drummer, but the leader goes, we're just going to stick with this guy. And I'm going, oh man, I don't have a gig now. So only thing I did, I picked up the phone. I called one of the coolest agents in the world there, and I said, hey, Lou Garrett, he's a Jamaican dude. He's cool as hell. I said, you ain't gonna believe what happened to me. And I told him the story. And he goes, you know what? Anita Pointer is looking for a drummer.
Wow.
He says, you need to get on a plane yesterday. And I said, dude, I don't even have my clothes unpacked yet from when I got home. He says, well, then you need to get here. So he says, grab your Walkman.
Right.
Walkman. Right. And he says, when I pick you up at the airport, I got a cassette for you, and you need to go to a hotel room and learn 6 songs before 9:00 at night.
What were the 6 songs?
So it was like all the major hits. I'm so
Sure.
excited. Neutron Dance. We did Slow Hand. We did Yes You Can. Yes You
Okay.
Can.
Yeah,
Yes You
yeah,
Can.
yeah,
Can.
yeah.
That one. And so we got into all those. So I mean, there was I think one more there, but that was the bulk that I remember that we did.
Yeah, right.
And that was cool, man. And about that night later was like 7 drummers auditioning, and then they told me that night that I had the gig.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 19.
19
Wow.
years old.
I left here in 1987, so I'm 56 now.
Yeah, yeah.
A long time ago.
So were you born in the Algonquin area? That's where you were
I was
from?
born in Elk Grove, actually.
Elk Grove,
Yeah,
okay.
I had Election Brothers, I think it was. Election
Okay,
Brothers?
yeah.
I was born there, My dad was an Itasca police officer at that time.
Okay.
And my mom worked for the village, and that's how they met.
Right,
And then
right.
I was conceived.
Okay.
Quick story.
Yeah. No, I grew up in the Schaumburg area, so I'm very
Okay,
familiar with
yeah.
the Alexian Brothers and off of what is it, off of Nergi over there or whatever?
Yeah, that's a beautiful hospital, though. I mean, it's a big place, man.
Right.
I went there just recently to help a friend get an operation, and I was like, whoa, this is where I was born?
Yeah.
I was like tripping on it,
Did you go to Elk Grove High School?
I went to Crown High School because
Crown, okay.
we ended up living in Carpentersville, from my 4th grade
Okay.
up until my sophomore year of high school. So I still have a lot of childhood friends here in town.
Right.
And I went to Crown High School.
Okay.
And then my parents moved to Lake in the Hills, Algonquin area, and then I went to Jacobs for my last 2 years. And I really didn't know too many people from that school, and I kind of was in my own lane already anyways, I mean, I was kind of doing things.
Yeah. Is that
know.
when you found the drums, or did the drums find you?
No, my mom and dad got me a drum set, said that the minute I was born, I was beating on things. So they ended up getting me a kit. My dad would bring me in the room all the time in the back music room. We had a room about as big as this place, and we'd just jam every night, I mean, I don't even know how I became a drummer, to be honest with you. I mean, that's all I know. And I just did it.
Did you, no formal lessons or anything?
Yeah, I took a couple lessons. I'll tell you, there's some weird stories about that. Nothing weird that we think of weird today.
You can get weird.
You know what I'm saying, right?
You can get weird. I mean, we've had some weird discussions.
You guys remember Roselle Music?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right?
I used to live there.
Dude, that was my
bought
store,
my first guitar from
right?
there. Yeah.
And
Lyle.
And the dog.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you had Bob Wiggins downstairs.
Yeah.
Big Bob, man.
Big Bob. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I loved Big Bob back in the day, man.
Yeah.
He was cool. God bless his heart. He passed away. But, he had one time told me, I bought a kit there. It was Roy Burns' drums, and I got some free lessons with it, right? So I took these lessons. This guy looked like Sonny Bono. And I remember, I'll never forget him. So 5 lessons went by. My dad, I said, hey, are we going to sign me up for more lessons? He goes, son, he don't want to teach you. I said, why? And he says, you have bad habits and I ruined you as a drummer. I said, really? So I said, all right, whatever. I kind of got my feelings hurt, but, life, you just move on, I guess,
Right.
I didn't know how to judge myself, so I didn't know. I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
So we move on, and then Bob Wiggins comes up to me one day and goes, dude, you need to take lessons from this badass drummer in town. I go, who is it? He goes, Les DeMerle. I go, Les DeMerle? Oh my God, Transfusion. I remember. I mean, he was one of my favorite drummers of all time. And I ended up taking from him for 2 years, and he was kind of my dude. And then, I took from a couple other people too, but he was the main guy, man. He taught me things where that even today, when I go play with all these different people, sometimes I'm going, shit, man, I'm glad that dude taught me that stuff because I would have not have gotten this gig if it wasn't for him showing me that. You know what I mean? And reading, because I read too, and I play, I play notes, and I get some of my gigs are reading gigs, so I have to read still. So I don't do that as much as I used to, but it saved my butt.
Yeah, right.
So so he got me into like all this fusion jazz stuff, and this guy played with Harry James at 18. Bad dude, and he used to live here, man. He lived in Chicago, and he used to play the Nick's Fish House.
Yeah, Nick's Fish Market.
Nick's Fish Market. Yeah, he played up in there, and then he used to play at St. Charles at the
Cordon
Pheasant
Blues?
Run.
Or,
Yeah,
Pheasant
and
Run
I used to
stuff?
play
Yeah,
Pheasant Run too. I used to play there when I was a kid. That was one of my gigs.
Yeah.
I was playing 6 nights a week when we had.
You had to
nights
play
a week.
Pheasant Run. Pheasant Run. You had to go through.
Dude,
Pheasant
that was
Run.
top A-list,
especially in that area. Okay,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, you have no idea how many times we may have crossed paths because
no kidding.
Roselle Music. I could walk there from my house.
Oh wow!
I mean, I lived off of what was the road? Menching off of Irving Park.
Okay.
So if you just kept heading west on Irving Park from where Roselle Music was, that's where I lived, over by the Linford Winery, and there's St. Walter School was over there. I went to Lake Park High School.
Oh, yeah, my mom went to Lake Park High.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
Lake Park area, man, I love that school too. I always wanted to go there, but I never got a chance because my parents, we moved to, out to Seaville. So I was going to go there though, but I think I went to Medina East.
Oh yeah.
West.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. I was getting transferred. My parents were like jumping homes for a minute.
Right. I'll tell you that whole area, because of Roselle Music, Lyle
what a store.
Lyle knew absolutely everybody. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been there, but when you stand outside
were you ever there?
of the building,
I believe I have been.
Yeah.
And gosh, I haven't. It's still there, but I haven't been there.
But it's not that
forever.
store no more.
It's not that store
in
anymore.
The basement was where all the audio was, like the pro
and the drums. The drums were down there.
Drum room. Guitars were upstairs.
And I know they bought the building that was next to it, and they knocked out a wall.
Yeah.
And it kind of looked like an old soda fountain, like an old 50s diner, and they used to start having open jams and stuff there. But as soon as they expanded, the square footage of the store, you're right. It wasn't the same store anymore.
No, man. And then they had the Elgin store too. And I used to go to that one too on 25 over there. That was the one. Bill Walsky ran that one.
Yeah.
I used to go down to Ludwig drums all the time, and stuff like that. That was great. I mean, I have a lot of great childhood memories here. I do. I don't have like any bad things here. I had a good life growing up. I really did. And now, I more appreciate my life now than I've ever appreciated my life. After all the things we're going through, I look back at when we all grew up, dude. You know what, man? I know every generation says this, but it's damn true, man. The 70s were pretty badass.
Yeah.
And so were the 80s, man.
So were the 80s,
comparingly.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, technology, if we had this technology back then, look out, man.
Oh, I know.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
In the 80s with all this technology we have now, it would have been insane.
Yeah. I know. No more walking around putting flyers on people's windshields, cars.
LA style there, man. Hollywood stuff.
Yeah.
Going to Rock and Roll Ralph's and, tagging all the cars for the whiskey gig coming up next week,
Right.
But yeah, so I went, as far as the teaching thing. So yeah. And then when I went to school in high school, actually, let's start in middle school. The band director, I didn't get along with a couple of my band directors. I don't know what it was, but there was this real competitive thing. I don't know what it was, but they were really tough on me a couple of times. You ever see that? What was that one movie?
With Miles Teller, the drummer.
Dude.
Drummer. Yeah. I forgot the name of that movie.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was me, dude. Ain't no joke.
Yeah.
I had a teacher that treated me like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And anyways, so he one day, this is kind of bad to say this on this radio here, but anyways, he got called me to his room one day out of English, pulled me out, and he started just ripping me up in his band room. And he said something to me that was so bad to me, and I did a bad thing, so I ended up punching him out. He said to me that my dad ruined me as a musician. And other guy said this.
Yeah.
And that drummers like me came a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And, and he was just trying to break me down. Well, I took him down.
Yeah.
And I did. And I didn't get in trouble for it. He almost got fired for it,
Yeah, right.
Talking now, obviously, in today's world, I probably would have been kicked out of school today. Cuffed and everything. We didn't have cops in school, man, when we were going. We had teachers yelling at you.
Right.
So that happened to me. And then when I went to Jacobs, Crown actually was my best. That teacher, Mr. Miller, was the best guy in the world. I marched in that marching band. We were 5 years in a row top in the nation as a marching band. I marched for Reagan's inaugural.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. Was cool about that. That teacher was my favorite teacher. When I told him I had to leave, he lived in Lake in the Hills, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I'll drive you to school every day if you just come to this school
Wow.
because you're my lead snare drummer, and my lead guy. I need you here." Well, I said, "Nah, I'm not going to do that." So I went to that school, and that teacher was kind of like my middle school teacher, and ended up having some bad words too and stuff like that. But man, I didn't let any of these guys take me down, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here as far as a message to all our fellow. You don't even have to be a musician for this. Just don't let believe in who you are. Right. And keep going, man, because you listen to all these people's stories that, especially the ones that have made it to where they've made it. And they've, for some reason, we all got to go through this pain, man. It's just part of life,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely. Yeah. So while you were in high school, were you into anything else?
Yeah, I was a wrestler and a soccer player for 12 years.
Wow, no kidding.
And my uncle played for the Sting back in the day.
The Sting.
Yeah, he went to Lake Park High School.
We are just walking down memory lane with this.
We sure are.
Right?
Yeah.
Chicago Sting, man.
The Sting.
Yeah. He was out when Pele was out big.
Yeah,
right.
So I was watching him play against Pele.
Wow.
Down at the stadium down here. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So after high school, did you just transition away completely from athletics and dive headfirst into music?
I broke my arm wrestling. Yeah, my last year in high school, I broke it, and I was like, okay, now I need to figure this one out. I mean, I'm not going to be a professional wrestler. I'm not Hulk Hogan. It ain't going to happen. And we didn't even know who Hulk Hogan was then.
Right, we didn't.
No, man, not at all. We were listening to Duran.
Yeah.
And it's funny because so I ended up just giving it all up, man. I did. And I just concentrated on my music. And then I went to Elgin Community College for a really short time. And then when I got that call, I boogied out, man.
So you had mentioned one band that you were in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you learned Oh Sheila was your first song.
Yeah, man.
How many bands were you in, or what amount of time passed between that and then getting the call to go and audition for the Pointer Sisters?
Mostly I played with my dad's band,
Okay.
and a couple other bands. I played mostly like country western, not crossover country like we got today. I was playing like Ernest Tubb and the Texas Troubadours. I was playing like like Merle Haggard old stuff, Rainbow Stew. I was playing like Mickey Gilley, like
real
old,
country music.
Yeah, Urban Cowboy era before.
Our kind of country music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, when my dad would get off the road, sometimes, he had this band. So, but when he wasn't in town, I ended up going to these jam sessions. Back in the day, we had jam sessions on Sunday nights. You go to like a bar and somebody would host it. You were a house band.
I know somebody that hosts one on Sunday nights.
Gee, I do too.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it for a minute.
Yeah, me.
You?
Yeah.
See, but that's cool because you don't see that anymore. And that was like when I grew up. And I think it really helps the community bring the players together, and we all network better that way. And because you can live in a city and not know somebody for real. It's like you wouldn't think you would know everybody. Even in LA when I lived there, it's like as many people as I do know, which is a lot there.
Right.
I still didn't know some people.
Right.
And I think these kind of things help that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it keeps us all working too.
And we have this conversation on this podcast every time we talk to somebody. There is something about being a musician in the Chicagoland area where there is that sense of family and there is that sense of camaraderie. And those jam sessions do happen. There's the one that I host.
Nice.
I got a bunch of friends that host them. You can find a jam session every night of the week somewhere in the Chicagoland area.
See, I haven't been out enough to know yet.
You'll see the same faces over and over again, but it's like
that's okay. Go to another one then.
Yeah, you know what? And if you get a phone call and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a band, for Saturday night. Can you throw something together?"
A band,
you'll know a bunch of people that you'd be able to do it.
Yeah, and you make it happen.
And we've done it before.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
That's the way to do it, man. It's a brotherhood,
Absolutely.
and a sisterhood,
Yeah,
But, there's a lot of great girl players now, man, like big time, man. It's like I'm pretty impressed.
Right.
But but me being here, dude, honestly, I hear so many different things about this town, Chicago, and I'm still trying to figure it out, man. And I need help because listen, I mastered LA. I was there 36 years. And you know what? That's not a toot my horn thing. It's an earn thing, but it took me about 10 years of living there before I started playing like all the A rooms. And I started like really getting in with like Michael Landau and, and Steve Lukather and all these great players like Richie Kotzen and just, I became an A-list player there, and so I used to play in a club there called the Baked Potato.
Okay.
And it's in Universal area. And it's 50 years old now. Don Randy owns it. He was one of the Wrecking Crew members.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
Okay.
worked under Phil Spector. Matter of fact, Phil Spector was his roommate. And I still work with Don Randy today.
Nice.
He was Frank Sinatra's Nancy Sinatra's musical director for her whole career. And, so he was, so this was his room. So everybody and anybody that was hot and it still plays, you have to have a track record to play that room.
Right.
If you don't have a list, you don't play.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you go see 2 shows a night, whoever's in there. You can see, Steve Lukather from Toto for $50.
Yeah.
Standing from me to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? With his band.
Right.
Yeah. Not Toto, but
Not
his
Toto,
band.
but his band. Yeah.
Los Lobotomus, bands like that. So that's what that room was. And so I became the house drummer there for 2 years up until I left. I gave up my throne when I knew my dad got sick. So that was a hot seat. There's a million drummers in LA that wanted that gig.
Right.
I was there. I was the house drummer at the Baked Potato on Monday Night Blues nights for 2 years. And I was playing with guys from Bruce Hornsby to John Mayall to Steve Miller to, Albert Lee, all these cats. And then all the cats would come in town, and that was the room to go to, So all these dudes would come down and, we were a great band. All these guys were players from those artists, So the band was hot, man. Rita Coolidge, we had them all coming down.
Right.
So, Steve Miller even came down a couple of times and wanted to play with us, So he came down and jammed with us. He's like, one night he goes, man, ladies and gentlemen, he goes, if I ever did a blues tour, he goes, this would be my band.
Yeah,
and I'm
nice.
thinking, please go. Let's go. I want to play with Steve Miller.
Can I push you out the door?
Yeah, man. I'm like, man. So that's my story there. But yeah, so I played, a lot of bands here in town when my dad wasn't here too. And I played mostly country in 50s and 60s. And, the Sundance Saloon that's in Mundelein, you guys know that place?
I played there many times.
I was playing there in 1978.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
When they had line dance, it was like a mini Mickey Gillies back then, and they had the big bowl in there, and they had all the line dancing and all the girls in their little hottie totty outfits, and and I was 16 playing there, so I know a lot about that room.
Yeah. I played there a few times. In fact, the band that I'm in right now, we played there. It was early spring or something like that. We were just there, and then I played there.
I only know your upcoming schedule, not your past.
Yes, he's my booking agent in a way. I play quite often. So on Mondays,
great,
it's like
man.
okay, where am I, Ray? And he tells me where I'm playing the coming week.
That's great.
But
busy.
and back in like 95, I was in a band and we opened up for Lori Morgan over there at the Sundance place there. That was,
that place is
still
a
there.
room. Yeah, it's a great room.
Yeah.
Bob and his family own it, and they do a great job. And, they've always been nice to me.
Yeah.
The Broken Oar is another good one,
Yep.
I'll be
there.
actually, I'm playing there. Mike Dermott. He runs the Coterie group.
Okay.
It's most of his functions that he puts together. It's all
That's
like
how I know
hot
that name.
players.
Okay, right.
Yeah, coterie, some people call it, or Coterie.
Right.
It's actually Coterie. But anyways, I'm playing August 26th with him to raise awareness for autism.
Okay.
And that will be at the Broken Oar on August 26th.
Okay.
It's a full day event. I'm playing with an artist by the name of Nick Bell. Do you know him?
No, I don't know.
Blues
Nick Bell.
guy. It's a blues night that night. So it's going to be all blues stuff.
Okay.
So like
nice.
Gary Moore and all that kind of stuff's going to be happening.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so I'm doing that. I mean, just to kind of give the world a little know what's going on. That's so far since I've been in town. So I try to do a lot of charities. I like to do those, breast cancer awareness is a big one for me. Autism is another one that I carry. So I'm doing this one and I reach out. I try to help back to my communities. I'm not one of those guys that stays home and untouchable.
Right.
I like to know who's here in town. I like to meet the people.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what we're here for.
I'll tell you, man, get out to the jams.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, the one that I host would be one hell of a drive for you. It's literally 10 minutes away from here. So it would be one heck of a drive.
But I'm okay with that. I live in LA. It takes me an hour and a half to go 30 minutes.
Oh, that's true. That's
a
true.
normal 30 minutes. So it's okay.
Yeah. No,
an hour for me ain't nothing. This actually wasn't a bad run for me.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
No, this was a normal day in LA.
Because it's like, and it's a straight shot pretty much too. So it
wasn't that bad. An hour to me is like 20 minutes for me.
Yeah.
It really is. It sounds terrible, but it's true.
No, it is true. I've driven in LA for sure.
Yeah, but let me know the next time and I'll just come down.
Yeah, we'll hook up for sure.
I'll come down.
It'd be great.
Yeah, because then it's arranged more and I'll come down there and, knowing that we're going to get together and I'll maybe throw me a couple tunes and I'll learn them and come down.
Yeah, it'd be, it's open to every artist, but about 75% of it ends up being just some rhythm and blues,
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm all down with that.
I'm Christy from Crime Cave Podcast. I've had a huge interest in true crime since my days of watching marathons of Snapped back in the mid-90s. I needed an outlet to talk about the cases that have haunted me for a very long time. With each episode under 20 minutes, I shine a light on some of the most bizarre cases in the last 50 years. Join me in The Crime Cave.
Hi, I'm Rick Anthony. I'd like to thank my radio brothers, Ray the Roadie and Hollywood Mike, for allowing me to tell you about my podcast, the Someone You Should Know podcast. We spotlight musicians, authors, and interesting people, and we like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. The podcast is heard twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, and you can check it out on your favorite streaming platforms and on the web at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast.com. That's the Someone You Should Know podcast with me, Rick Anthony. Making a difference, one artist at a time.
So you've played with two of my favorites, man. You've played with Richie Kotzen and Paul Gilbert.
Oh, yeah.
God, I love those two guys.
Yeah.
I really do. What was it? You got to tell me what it was like playing with those guys.
Well, Richie, I mean, both of those guys, are my friends. I mean, Richie more so because I was in a band with him, with Phil Soussan. And Phil Soussan, he played bass, with Ozzy and he played with a lot of people. Actually, he's in a band now called Last in Line.
Okay.
That's with, trying to think. Well, you got Vinny Appice on drums, Carmine's brother,
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
yeah.
And you got Vivian Campbell on guitar.
Yeah.
Right. And Andrew Freeman on vocals, so it's a hot band. It's a real hot band. You guys got to see if they come out, they come through town. They're badasses. So so Phil and me and Richie, so we went to Brazil and did a bunch of shows in Brazil because Richie's really known in Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went down there and it's just a power trio, man. Most of the gigs I do are power trios anyways. And mostly,
when was that? When was that?
I would say, gosh, now let's see. I've been here 3 years.
Was it like a precursor to the Winery Dogs?
Yes.
It was.
Winery Dogs wasn't even existing yet.
Gotcha.
They didn't even give birth yet. Nope.
All right.
They weren't even that wasn't even thought. Richie was doing his own thing. He'd get his little pickup bands that the people that he would like to pick out to play with every once in a while. So, we used to go to these, speaking of jams. Okay. There you go. So
yeah. Right.
How we went was Phil Soussan was in a band. I was a house band in a different jam than the Baked Potato. And he started inviting people down. Bingo. There you go. Richie comes down. We get to know each other. Hey, man, you want to do this? We're doing 3 weeks in Brazil. You want to go out, meet you in Soussan? I go, sure, man, let's go. That's how it happens. So here you go, back to the jam thing again, how important it is as a network to go to these places.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So that's how I actually met Richie. And then we went, house parties, and then you're hanging out and you're always going, everybody knows everybody at everybody's party.
Right. Right. Richie Kotzen inspired me. I'm a guitar player.
Okay.
And everybody kind of knew Richie as a guitar player because who did he
Poison.
Yeah, there you go. He was with Poison for a little while. Yeah, that was I saw the behind the music on that one.
Yeah, behind a lot of things on that one. Yeah. I mean, I never got kicked off a tour bus before, but okay.
But then all of a sudden somebody gives me a CD and it just had his name on the CD. Somebody had burned it for me. It didn't have the name of an album or anything like that, but it had a couple of cuts on it that he does with the Winery Dogs now. And all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, Richie can sing.
My God. Dude.
And sing well.
Yeah, pretty badass.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he's as good at both. He's 100% at both.
What a fantastic guitar player. And he can sing.
He's got
and
that
it's
Lindsey Buckingham style.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he hits his...
A lot of finger picking and hitting with the thumb. Yeah,
he's got the Lindsey thing. I don't know anybody that even plays close to Lindsey Buckingham. But,
right.
He's in a lane of his own, that man.
And he plays a style of music that you normally wouldn't see somebody playing an old Telecaster, an old Sunburst Telecaster.
Yeah, man. He rips it up, boy.
He's absolutely amazing. I can watch that dude play. In fact, I saw the Winery Dogs
a
few years ago at the City Winery here in
that's
Chicago.
Funny for
man. It was
them to play
the Winery Dogs at the City Winery.
That's pretty funny. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. If you probably noticed on the track record on my stuff, it's a lot of guitar players, and I was kind of known for that in LA as one of the guitar player drummers, Yeah, I got labeled at that because most of the gigs I did were all just badass guitar players,
Yeah.
So Richie was great. Paul Gilbert, let me tell you, man, Paul, he's one of the sweetest guys. I mean, look, Richie's great in all forms and fashion too, but this guy is a charm in another way,
Right.
He's just got a gift that's just so special in his own lane. And, and he innovated things for us, he really did. I mean,
he did. No,
he's
absolutely.
the shred, man. There's nobody that can shred better than Paul Gilbert.
He had all kinds of videos. I can't tell you how many frustrated guitar players there are.
He's helped a lot of people
who had his VHS tapes.
Yeah.
His
instruction.
my God.
Yeah. He was so good at it, man. And he just, so when we played together, it's like, you just want to watch him, because he's just so amazing. amazing how he approaches his guitar.
Right.
But man, what a gentle giant, because he's really tall. You know, he's like 6'4". Yeah, he's big.
Tall, very
Tall guy,
soft-spoken, very soft-spoken
man.
guy.
And easygoing. He's like, hey, man, don't worry. If you mess that up, don't worry, man. We'll figure it out. We'll get there. You know, he doesn't worry about nothing. He doesn't make you feel that way.
Right.
You know, and yeah, what a blast to play with him. And then I played with his sidekick. You know, you're a Racer X fan, obviously, maybe.
Yeah.
Then, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, Bruce Bouillet was another guy I played with.
Wow,
It was
nice.
the other Racer X
Yeah,
guy,
right, yeah.
So I played with them, never together, but in separate projects.
Right.
Yep. And, you know, I mean, I love them both, but I got to tell you, Bruce Bouillet, man, I mean, it's a little underdog there, but I mean, you know what? That guy he's got a great feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I dig. He shreds, but he's got great feel.
Right, absolutely. I saw the so I don't go out and see a lot of big bands anymore.
Yeah.
Because you know it's like I used to do it a lot, but man, I get a lot more out of going and seeing local guys at smaller amphitheaters and things like that, or little lesser known guys and stuff like that. But the last big name I think I saw was I saw Mr. Big at the House of Blues here in Chicago,
Oh, man.
and Paul Gilbert comes out and he was kind of dressed like Evel Knievel.
Yeah, he's funny, man. He's the
with his
biggest-
headphones on, with his headphone monitors
As geek
on.
as you can get, he's got geek in there, man. He's funny, man.
And he even said it. He even said it. He
He's a
comes
nerd.
out, he grabs his headphones like this, he puts them on, and he goes, "All right, yep, I am a nerd, and I'm, you know," and he's like, "I'm
Yeah,
wearing this,
he's
and I don't
awesome.
care." I mean, he's literally on stage wearing these things instead of the little in-ear buds that you can't see.
Yeah, because his ears are blown. You know, they're gone. His ears are just toast. He has hearing aids.
Okay.
So when he gets on stage, he takes them off.
Yeah.
And that's why he uses the headphones because of that reason. Yeah. Because he can't play with hearing aids on.
Yeah,
It's just way too much power, you know?
When he did his solo, though, he took the headphones off and played. Yeah, I guess he was just listening to his amp.
But you don't
at
have,
that point.
you don't have cymbals crashing.
Yeah, and you don't have everything
cymbals
all
are
over the
probably
place.
the worst thing for any musician on stage.
gosh,
you know,
Right.
And honestly, man, knock
Yes,
on
I
wood, but
know.
I've never worn any ear treatments my whole career, and my ears are like I can hear things a mile away.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. I hope it stays that way.
You're lucky, yeah.
I'm very lucky, you know, and I've played with some heavy rocks bands, man.
Yeah.
You know, George Lynch, and you know, I mean, tuned down to B, man. You know.
No in-ear monitors or anything when you play?
I do, but not very much. Most of my gigs are wedges. I mean, even with all these acts, you know, I mean, I hardly ever do, but Hurricane's going to be going out with them in-ears on this next one.
Yeah. Have you been practicing that yet?
Yeah.
Because that's a weird transition, man. I much prefer the wedges myself,
Me
but
too,
it's like,
man.
you know, I'm trying to save the ears, but yeah, it took me, gosh, it probably took me a year to get used to it.
But
even
singing is
sometimes,
good, though.
but even sometimes I still have to take one out for a second.
do.
And they say that's the worst thing you can do is to leave one in and take
Is
one
it
out.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Okay,
all
I
kinds
didn't know
of, there's
that.
all kinds of crap online. Just
Oh,
Google it,
no.
man. They're telling, they're saying the worst thing you can do is take one out and leave one in.
Oh,
but
Lord.
sometimes you can't, sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes I can't hear my guitar.
Because I've been that
Sometimes
way
I'm
before.
over singing
Yeah.
because I can't hear myself through it enough.
There's a frequency that you're not getting.
Yeah.
So I just grab and go, you know, and I'm like, nah, I can't have that in my ear. I mean, I got to hear something like the bass. I can't hear something on stage and the monitor guy's, you know, taking a siesta.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh shit.
You know what helps is what I found. What helps is set up a microphone someplace that just picks up ambient stage noise and send that into your monitors as well, and that helps. And when we have that, I find that I don't have to take the one out.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've avoided them as long as I can avoid them. You know, when you start playing with, you know, guys that have tracks and things, it's just no way around it, man.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
yeah.
it just is what it is at that point, you know.
Right.
You know, that's it. You know, we're stuck. That's where we're at in the industry now.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we run out of time, I can't believe how we've been just talking effortlessly. We've been here for a half hour already.
You haven't even bought a drink.
And we haven't even scratched the surface of
I know,
of
really.
anything
We
yet.
have part 2 coming up. But
Yeah, no kidding.
But
So-
no, we can jump. Yeah. we
Yeah.
can jump.
What's about? Tell us about Hurricane.
Okay, so Hurricane.
Because I know you guys have a new record coming out, right?
Yeah, we have a new record coming out. It's dropping August 25th. It's called Reconnected. That's the title of the album. And, you know, basically we came up with that title is because of, you know, the world that, you know, we all kind of got disconnected for a while. So, and we've been out of the scene for 33 years. We haven't put out a record in 33 years.
Yeah.
So, and as you probably well know, that Kelly Hansen, who used to sing with us, has been the singer for Foreigner for 13 years.
Right.
And Jay's the drummer for Yes now. So,
I didn't know that. This is really,
he was pre me. Yeah, I'm going way back now.
Yeah, right.
Because we're going 33 years back now.
Okay.
So I've been in the band for 15 years.
Right.
But the band hasn't done anything in 33 years. But I've been 15.
No new material. No new material.
So during COVID, it took us 2 years to write this record, and we did it remotely. This whole album is remote, man.
Yeah, that's a whole new experience in itself.
10 times longer to write a record.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, send me that track.
Yeah.
I need to do this. No, I'm going to send it back to you. And
and when you can be in a room and going, hey, John, you know what? I didn't like that riff right there. Maybe just play this instead.
Yeah.
And it's done in 2 seconds. Roll the tape. Boom. Roll the tape. Listen to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love tape.
Roll the tape. Yeah. I know.
Yeah. But no, you can't do this. So you have to wait for all that to get back when you're bouncing files back and forth, right? So that is definitely not a good thing. But hey, look, it's a learning curve. It's a challenge. We took it. We did it. And so
did you have your own setup, or did you go to a studio? You had your own setup?
No. I've got my own gear. Matter of fact, since I'm in town, it doesn't have to be in town for this little lecture thing, but I'm offering drum tracks for people. If they want drums, I'm not just recording my own band stuff, which I am. I mean, honestly, I have 6 albums coming out this year, and this is 2 of the 6 so far.
Wow.
That are coming out. I got 2 which is the other one that was his Miles Per Hour with Doug Pinnick and Gary Myrick. And then I got the Hurricane. So so I'm set up. So what I did was during COVID, I used the government money to buy all my studio gear.
Okay.
That's what I use it for. I invested my government money.
Right.
And because I wasn't spending it.
Right.
So I spent it on me. Right. And I spent it on my studio so I could do the record. That's what really ignited it. But I knew as a player too, I had a studio in LA too. I said, you know what? This is my chance to really create my own studio the way I really like it now. So I did. And Warm Audio helps me out, and Focusrite. They're all behind me. So I have outboard too. I have like 1176 copies and all these really cool outboard gear, preamps and compressors. And so I've got a nice setup down there. Yeah. And I got backline too. So I've got amps and everything for a player. So so I got that. And then that's how we did it.
Nice.
So it took us 2 years. We've got a European distribution and we've got an American distribution. Our European is Escape Limited, which is really cool. Kali, he's fantastic. And he really just led this project when we finally contacted him and said, hey, we got material. Right. And he's like, send it my way. He checked it out. He loved it. He said, let's go for it. Right. So we've got 300 vinyls coming out. That's all. We're a limited edition. Pre-sale right now. And we dropped a single on July 21st, which is called Rockstar Cheater, which I let you guys hear that, right?
Right.
And that's the song I wrote.
Okay.
I was the only song on the record I wrote. And it's about my divorce. So so it's a true story.
So do you play other instruments?
Drums and piano.
Drums and piano.
Yeah.
So you wrote. I'm assuming you used the piano to write it.
Some of it, and most of it. Actually, I actually talked to the guys. I just said, "Hey, Robert Sarzo, this is why I'm hearing the guitar. Remember Heaven and Hell?
Yeah.
I go. I kind of want it to be like that kind of vibe, but come up with a melody, but something on that genre." He goes, "All right, I'll go work on it." Once we got that, then Daniel Schumann is our new singer, fantastic guy from Australia.
Wow. Okay.
Just amazing singer. He's in a show that travels that's in Vegas as well called the Tenors of Rock.
So you guys were actually sending tracks to Australia and everything.
Well, he's in Vegas now.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
he came from there for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I told him kind of how, because he had to massage my vocals, after I wrote the lyrics, because he's the one singing it. Yeah. And unfortunately the poor man going through a time of himself, just like I did. So it's kind of interesting to have him on board to sing my song that I came up with the concept, and here he's going through pain like I already went through. And it's like, so what better guy to sing it, right?
Yeah, right.
Compassionate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very compassionate and probably meant everything I wrote.
Right. Yeah.
Well, he can feel it. I mean, he can feel it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And he massaged it. He wrote some of his little things in there too, because we had to kind of make it kind of rhyme a little better and things. So he was really cool with it. And then Tony Cavazzo, which is Carlos Cavazzo's brother, from Quiet Riot, and
that's an amazing connection.
Yeah. And Rudy Sarzo with Robert.
So I'm gonna interrupt you for just a second here, because this is super important. Another thing that we always talk about on this podcast is there's a lot of young people nowadays that are just getting bored to death with the electronic dribble that is being played on radio stations. And the story that I tell everybody, our listeners have heard this story 100 times, but for your sake, I walked upstairs one day and I'm hearing great rock and roll music coming out of my son's room. And I thought that he was up there with his buddies playing Guitar Hero or something like that,
no
right?
kidding.
Well, they were up there playing a video game, some war game where they're killing people, but the music's actually coming out of some speaker that somebody brought over here. And they're listening to like Bowie and Mata
Oh my
Hoople
gosh.
and Quiet Riot and stuff like
Excellent.
that. And so just the fact that we've got somebody here who's got this band that has this connection to Quiet Riot, because Quiet Riot is still selling records.
Oh yeah.
I mean, every single
They're
day.
touring off
Yeah.
crazy. Rudy's on the road all the time, man.
Yeah. And so you are playing with two brothers.
The two brothers, yeah, they're the siblings of Carlos and Rudy Sarzo.
That's amazing.
So I play with Carlos. I play with Tony Cavazzo.
Yeah.
And then I play with Robert Sarzo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a great connection.
It's a cool connection.
I loved Quiet Riot in the 80s, man.
Dude,
I absolutely freaking loved Quiet Riot.
They really were. You know, Frankie
They were
Banali
awesome.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah, just badass.
Everybody knows
Randy
them for
Rhodes.
like, oh yeah. I mean, everybody knows them for like 2 songs, man, but
I
every
know.
song on their albums, I mean, were just fantastic.
But they're a real rock band.
They were.
like a real rock band.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and even then, I mean, you couldn't even call them heavy metal. They tried to call them a
Yeah.
hair band or something like that. No,
man.
they weren't a hair band.
They were too hardcore for that.
They were a rock
that's
and
what
roll band.
Hurricane is. Hurricane is not like Motley Crue. We don't wear makeup. We're not like Poison. We're a rock band. We're actually a heavy blues rock band.
Yeah.
We're like an Aerosmith or something.
I picked that up. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
we're more like that. We got swagger. You know, it's not like we're not doomy baby music. You know,
Yeah.
doobie bop bop stuff. No, we're.
I'm not one to give advice, but God, you're in trouble and you better think twice. You're holding up your hands with diamonds on your rings. Is it love or money that makes you do these things? I say na 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 na. I'm on to you. Na 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 na. I will be a fool. Can't you see how hard I try to get
So this new record, we're having a good time with it. You know, we can't wait till it comes out, you know, on the 25th. But in the meantime, we have video drops coming out. So we just did the first one, which is with Rockstar, and then we've got I don't have the date yet for the next one, but one of the new songs on the album, we have another lyrics video coming out, and then we have one on the 18th dropping that you guys will be totally tripping out on. This one I produced and co-produced the whole video on this one.
Wow.
And we did it remotely as well. And we recovered David Bowie, Queen, if you know what I'm talking about, Under Pressure.
Yeah, right.
Yep. We recovered it. And wait till you see the video that's with it. It's going to be one of the most amazing moments you'll ever see. It's about the world and what we all are about here. And
Right.
you're going to trip. You're going to trip.
Very cool.
That's
Yeah.
I can't wait for that one. That's actually that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're going to go to I guess I'll throw that right. So our website, if you guys want to go on it,
Yeah, please do.
is hurricaneofficialrockband.com.
Right.
Yeah, hurricaneofficialrockband.com.
And they can order the album there.
Yeah, we've got everything on there too. Or you can go, you know, to mine, which is what's mine? Mike Hansen, drummer.com. That's it. Go drummermikehansen.com. Oh my God, I got like 10 different ones in my brain right now. Yeah, drummermikehansen.com and then hurricaneofficialrockband.com.
And I'm sure you're both on Facebook also.
Yeah, Cymbal Crasher is my handle.
Okay.
That's the handle on that, and Hurricane's on there too, and we got all that stuff going. And then the other song that I sent you guys, if you want to play it too, is that's my project with Doug Pinnick. If you guys are King's X fans,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
yeah.
so I've been playing with Doug since 1992.
Wow.
Doug used to live right across the street here on the corner on the second floor of this building right there, caddy corner here.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, when he was in his 20s.
Wow. No
kidding.
Yeah,
kidding.
Doug is pushing 71 now.
This building has an amazing history.
It does. And we're creating more history
Right.
at it every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, and I'm glad to be a part of it. You know, I'm a member here. So
great.
too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. You know, and Ron's been great, and you know, Patty Pendergrass, she brought me in here. You know, she's the one that kind of introduced me to everybody.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
Patty's been great. She's with Kevin Lee and the Kings.
Yeah, yeah,
band.
yeah.
So they brought me in here in this place. That's why I called Ron. I said, "Hey, man, I'd love to come down if you guys are cool with it." And you guys were cool with it to come down and just kind of,
Absolutely.
because nobody really, I just don't know nobody in this town yet.
Right.
Really, So I thought this is a good way to kind of meet my people.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, we can certainly hook you up with a couple of people.
thank you.
Get you out to some jams for sure.
Yeah, I want to do that for sure.
So is there going to be a tour backing up this album? Or?
We're working on those right now with Hurricane. There's a lot of talk going on with a lot of different angles. With maybe like going back in time and possibly, even doing a show with Stryper, because Hurricane is known. Yeah. Everybody that talks about their memory of Hurricane. Yeah. I seen you on the Stryper tour, the Hell with the Devil, and they remember that time. So, Michael Sweet, and we've all talked before about, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just kind of recreated that for all these guys, because they're kind of, dude, all these bands are kind of like fizzling out.
Yeah.
I hope this audience knows this, and for the ones that get on there and try to just put down a band to have a member change or something. And when all we're trying to do is give you music, and you guys can't be so critical on us, evolution, man, it's life. You got family members that come and go. Well, band members come and go too, just like death.
Yep.
And I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth.
But absolutely.
So treat it like that. Just remember the good things and accept those bands that are out there. And I'm talking for all you bands that have these member changes that have to go through this. We get counseling, bros, over this stuff. Sometimes you people hurt us, man,
Right. Yeah.
It's not cool, man. It's not cool at all. So I'm just saying, give a band a chance, man, and evolve with the band. It's a ride, man.
Yeah.
So take the ride.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I didn't really get into an argument, but I was just sitting and listening to guys talk at a bar one time, just recently, literally about a week ago, about, I'm not going to go and see Leonard Skinner. There's not one original member of that band left.
Yeah.
Well, come on, man.
Right.
The band's trying to go on.
Too, yeah, Foreigner too.
The band's trying to go on, and they're producing music for you. So just be happy with it,
Starship too.
Right.
Yeah, you can't put us on ice. You know what I mean? And say, okay, let's pick it up. Because people are like, oh man, without this guy, it's not the band anymore. Well, of course it's not the same. So when you guys get divorced and get remarried out there, are you comparing your ex-wife to your new one? Because if you do, you're going to be divorced again. Right. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I'm warning y'all, it works the same way, people.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Absolutely. It does.
Yeah.
Man.
True story.
Well,
So are you doing anything outside of Hurricane where people can actually come out and see and meet you? And
Well, the 26th thing I'm doing, that benefit.
right.
But I do play with another artist here that lives here in town, and you guys might know him, you might not, but his name is Davey Knowles. Blues guy.
don't
He's
know
from
Davey
Isle of
Knowles.
Man. Yeah, he's
Okay.
So I played with him with the Rory Gallagher celebration.
Nice.
So
Okay.
I belong to the Rory Gallagher team. So I'm in the whole group with the Rory Gallagher camp. So I tour with the original members of Rory Gallagher.
Nice.
And
Okay.
he's one of those as well. But he has his own project, and he lives here off of Lawrence somewhere. And he's a fantastic artist. You got to check him out. His name's Davey Knowles, Davy, like Beyonce Knowles, Knowles. Dude, one of the best. Listen, Eric Clapton, Peter Frampton produced one of his last records.
Right.
Jeff Beck,
Wow.
Joe Satriani,
Yeah.
Warren Haynes. Okay.
No.
Yeah. He's toured with open for all these bands, and
Okay.
he's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
I play with him currently, and we're working. He called me today. He goes, "Hey mate," he goes, "I got some new tracks for you to check out. I want you to lay some drums down to him and see how we can come up with this cool thing, So we're going to do this new record.
All right.
So it's cool. I'm going to do
Awesome.
a new record with him.
Nice.
And I met him through Eddie Kramer.
Nice.
well, at least
Okay.
you'll be able to do it together.
Yes. Yeah. No, we're in the same room. We're going to probably go pre-production in my studio, and then the label will tell us where to go after all the pre-done.
Yeah.
Because that's what we'll do. Yeah. So that's really all I got right now. Otherwise, catch me at a jam, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
we'll hook up on Facebook and all the other social media stuff, and I'll send you out
come
some
down.
places. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like to meet some new faces, shake new hands, and
Absolutely.
meet my community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was
Well,
great.
thanks a lot for coming out
yeah,
tonight, Mike.
Yeah, great conversation. I enjoyed talking to you a
Yeah,
lot.
you guys too, man. Thank
Yeah, it
you
was
for
a
having me.
lot of
It was a
fun.
pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Mike Hansen, man. What an interesting dude.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Okay, should we start this over? Do you want to start it?
I wish we could do a part 2 with him.
I know.
We barely scratched the surface. I wrote all these notes down to talk about, and we just ran out of time. I mean, the guy played with Richie Kotzen, Steve Vai, George Lynch, Paul Gilbert, the Pointer Sisters, Corey Glover, Albert Lee. I mean, he's just played with so many different people.
No
I
kidding.
mean, the stories that he has have to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting worried that we weren't going to have time to talk about Hurricane.
Yeah,
and that's
no
his
kidding.
current gig,
No kidding. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What a pleasure it was to have him here. We didn't even get into, I wanted to ask him if he ever taught anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And the gear that he uses in the whole bit, because it's very rare that we get to just talk
That's right.
and focus on a drummer.
You're right. You're right. Well, maybe someday we'll have him back again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
Not
for
too
another
often we
reason.
do that.
Right.
But,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed that. We sure did. And we look forward to, well, we don't look forward. We do look forward
look
to it.
forward
Yeah, we
to
do. And we hope that you check out next week's episode next Tuesday. coming to you every week.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got who is that? We've got
we got a few great bands coming up, and just check it out every Tuesday. Coming to you live from the Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66. This is Ray the Roadie signing off.
This is Gary from Straw Dog. You could catch us next week on Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast, right here in Chicago. Thank you.
The Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast is edited by Paul Martin. Theme song courtesy of M&R Rush. The Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast does not own the rights to any of the music heard on the show. The music is used to promote the guests that are featured.
Rock and roll Chicago.